last game, Kog'Maw, Jax, Mundo, Urgot, there's options, but the Anivia is a sure thing. You always want to ban Anivia against CLG.EU.
Yeah, that's pretty much going to be the case. I think that CLG is probably going to be comfortable with their bans. We'll see. They might leave up like an Ahri if they decide that, you know, Froggen will play Ahri. Froggen has played Ahri a lot in the past. It just kind of depends on what kind of team comp they're looking to run. We do see a Kog'Maw ban, so, you know, like we said, going to ban out that Kog'Maw. Lulu, Soraka, you know, definitely safe bans all around. They have the first pick, so Soraka, you know, would be a really strong first pick for AbsoluteLegends. Go with the tanky lineup to kind of counter out CLG.
There are still more options for AbsoluteLegends to ban out. There is the Jax, there's the Mundo, then the Jax will be the ban. So, still allowing Mundo, still allowing Leona and Urgot. Shen and Aurelia are up for grabs, but AbsoluteLegends on the first pick, they could grab up either one of those or secure the same comp they had last time. Could go, you know, could keep a Nocturne, could keep Morgana. There's the Urgot ban.
Definitely makes sense from CLG.
Yep.
You know, and the big concern is when it's such a strong pick all around that I think AbsoluteLegends would probably pick it up, not allow it on the team. We have the Shen pickup from AbsoluteLegends, so that is going to be a really strong top lane against Wicked. You know, they will have nice killing potential when you have a gank, when you have the taunt from Shen. If you go Aurelia, Shen versus Aurelia, which I think is one of the things they're kind of expecting Wicked to do right now, but there are a lot of options. Shen versus Aurelia, Shen does very well early on and can force Aurelia kind of out of lane, you know, zone you from CSing as much, get a farm advantage. So we'll have to see. If Aurelia gets off to a good start, you know, she will do very well against Shen as well. But generally speaking, that lane is going to be in Shen's favor early on.
But there's been quite a bit of jungle Shen recently as well, and for the longest time, it's just been, you know, Shen top lane, getting counterpicked, throw him into jungle, or, oh, we wanted to jungle him all along. And once Shen hits 6, the mobility is quite vast. You can be anywhere you need on the map. If one of your teammates is in trouble, the shield can be quite valuable, or if your team's getting stomped, could just be a little bit of a waste. And at which point, if your team's fallen that far behind, you get somewhat useless. But Nocturne and Taric being picked up for CLG.EU.
Yeah, and that is one of the nice things about the jungle Shen is the fact that you can prevent some of the aggression from CLG if they look to be a little bit more aggressive this game. Generally speaking, I'm expecting AbsoluteLegends to be, you know, the aggressors, but even so, it also works offensively. Jungle Shen, you can tank towers very easily with your ultimate. You know, throw it on top lane maybe, or with your taunt as well. It's very easy to tower dive. And AbsoluteLegends grabbing that Ashe, and we have seen Ashe a number of times from Slepper, is such a strong pick. It gives you the initiation. They don't want to allow the Ashe and Nocturne combo on CLG, and so you know, right now they have Nocturne. If they had Ashe paired with Taric, that would be so much killing potential at level 6. Don't want to allow it. We have the Aurelia pickup. Definitely makes some sense as well.
But even then, the Janus shield on Ashe with the crit chance could be quite devastating. But Ashe saw the other day was a pretty big contributor to the win over M5. So now I think AbsoluteLegends is here. Is like, you know what? Let's go back. What we know, let's go back to what has worked before. Ashe is going to be a very critical part of it. Aurelia being considered for AbsoluteLegends for the top lane, but still not quite sure. Shen may still be in the jungle, may still be top lane. We don't know yet. But Corki Taric, once here in the bot lane, so a little bit of a swap. AbsoluteLegends, they did Corki Taric last time. CLG will have it now. So a lot of armor shred now on CLG.
Yeah, and Corki Taric, it is really common to have either the Corki or the Graves against Ashe, and so Ashe has the range advantage. You can get off some range harass. You have the volley as well if you're trying to be aggressive, but Corki has really nice burst. You have the armor shredding. That's just a lot of kill potential, and so if they get the stun onto like Janna, then Janna is just going to absolutely explode. Top lane, you know, again, Aurelia versus Shen, that's kind of what AbsoluteLegends was expecting, and so it, you know, is going to be a pretty even matchup. As the game progresses, Aurelia will be very strong, but early on, Shen has the advantage. They'll see if they can take advantage of that, and we see Extinct going to be grabbing Ahri, and we have been seeing, I think we saw him earlier in this tournament run the Deathfire Grasp Ahri, so
yes.
Deathfire Grasp Ahri, just so much burst potential. One of the issues with Ahri is if you don't hit all of your abilities or your abilities are on cooldown, she doesn't really have a whole lot of damage, and so you really need to hit everything. Deathfire Grasp, it gives you a little bit more burst. You can take people down, and then Nautilus in the jungle. So really cool team. We will have Shen top, we have Nautilus, we have just so much aggression, so much pickoff potential. We're going to need to see a really safe lane from Froggen now, and so there are a number of options. I think that
Morgana's still open.
Morgana would definitely make sense.
Yeah, Karthus is open too, but I'm not sure. Yeah, Karthus Ahri may not be the best thing.
Galio, there you go.
Galio would be pretty safe, and you also got the taunt because right now AbsoluteLegends, here comes the chain CC, Ashe, Ahri, Nautilus, Shen. Right there, a pretty huge AoE taunt could actually do wonders for CLG. It's like, hey, we're getting hard engaged here. We've got all this CC, but here's a good escape button. Galio taunt. Get a few minutes. Just focus on anyone who needs to be focused. And right now, there's going to be a pretty huge target onto Ashe from AbsoluteLegends. So, got to be careful. Nocturne is there to hit the back line to try and focus down the Ashe, but the arrow is quite devastating. We'll see how it works out.
Yeah, and the big thing with the Galio pick is that it does Galio is considered a counter to Ahri. Ahri, you have the range where you're generally going to be safe, but when you jump in, you need to get kind of close range. It gives opportunities for Galio to just shut you down with that snare or with that taunt, and then also you have to consider that Ahri doesn't really have enough damage to take down Galio, and so when you have the Galio shield, Ahri has small chunks of damage. Each one of those is going to proc the regen on the shield, and so he's also going to have a lot of MR. That's going to keep him pretty safe there. The concern is that Galio needs to play up close to the front line, so he's going to be aggressive, he's going to be pretty close, and when you have close-range champions in that mid lane, that opens up opportunities for Nautilus ganks. Nautilus can come in there, try and CC him enough, so it is going to be a decent amount of damage. I think, though, generally Galio is going to be safe enough, and so we have the Nocturne, we have the Galio. That gives us some nice map control to counter out some of what AbsoluteLegends is going to do. And so Ahri, a very mobile champion, wants to get off early ganks, wants to, roam around, pick up kills, which is a lot of what we've seen out of Extinct. On the other hand, Froggen is like, no, I'm shutting that down right now. I will teleport up to a ward or something. All of a sudden, turn the gank on your back, particularly in that top lane when Shen doesn't have the option to teleport, down the bottom and turn it into like a 4v3 or something. So we will see, pretty even matchup there.
Since there is also the Terra Corki bot lane, I'm expecting CLG to push bot a little bit harder because Janna, she's there for a dispersal. It's not really the biggest push coming out from Janna, and Ashe, a lot of her damage. Volley can go ahead and clear waves somewhat well, but there's a lot of burst and there's quite a bit of AoE and Corki as well. So bot lane for CLG could be quite vulnerable to the Nautilus ganks. Nautilus hits 6, get the depth charge, followed up with the arrow from Ashe. Could mean a very bad day for Corki.
Yeah, that's definitely the case, but even so, we have a lot of aggression.
Yeah.
I always really like the Corki and Galio pick, and so like that combo. And
it is a good combo.
I remember there was one match, I can't remember who it was. It wasn't this qualifier.
Oh.
It was a long time ago. It was IPL4 qualifiers where we saw Corki and Galio, they 2v5'd the enemy team at Baron, and I don't remember who it was,
look back.
But they ran up, and you have so much AoE damage with Corki. You have everyone sitting in front of you, and Corki has just so much damage. You get them all taunted with Galio. You just absolutely decimate them with the Corki damage, and that upfront damage is going to be huge. We also have, a pretty nice upfront team to just keep Yellow Pete safe, and so as long as Yellow Pete farms successfully, then we're going to have a lot of late-game damage for CLG. However, we do have to deal with the fact that we have such great initiation from AbsoluteLegends. They get to kind of decide when the fights are going to happen. We have good initiation from CLG as well, but the fact that we're going to see that aggression bottom and see that mobility from Extinct, see if he can get around, pick up some kills. It's just an all-around strong team.
Yeah, I think the initiation from AbsoluteLegends may have a little bit of an edge just because of the Janna ult availability, because there's one thing to engage, but it's also another thing to disengage. If Nocturne gets a little bit too aggressive, tries to make a beeline for the back line, Janna can be there to just throw everyone away and solo Nocturne out. There's not a whole lot of disengage options for CLG, apart from the fact where Galio ults and everyone runs away and Galio sacrifices himself.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. So we'll have to see how that works out for them. One thing I'm kind of scared for, and I'm wondering whether or not we'll see, is an early invade. And so we have a really strong team from AbsoluteLegends. And Nocturne, if he starts at that blue, we have seen those kind of Nocturne ganks because we have the exhaust. It helps Nocturne a little bit when he's ganking. You get the exhaust for the kill potential. However, we saw Dignitas do it the other day. You come up the river, you wait until Nocturne's actually starting blue, and then you gank, and all of a sudden he has no escaping opportunities. You pick him up, they have tons of killing potential early, so that is definitely going to be a concern. And it's also, you have to consider, it's blue versus purple, so it's on the right side. Nocturne is going to be on the blue going towards bot lane, so you don't have to worry about the long lane for your bot. They will be able to get back there in time. So I would definitely have to watch out for that. We might see some early wards from CLG. They're going to want to probably set up around the bot river, assuming that Nocturne is starting with blue, which is the most common. So they'll set up around the bot river and then try and get down some early ward coverage maybe to not allow that invade.
Not to mention, Shen going to be starting top lane, so it's not going to hurt Shen too much to go for the taunt first. Ari can just wait a minute, see if the charm is a necessary purchase, and even then, that's a lot of nice chain CC. Malnu does not really have to invest in the anchor for an invade if Absolute Legends decides to go in on it. But all of AL now moving as a group. Wicked, will you see them? Yes, you will, and Absolute Legends knows that there's at least a Wicked in the bush there. So now moving on down, now moving to a defensive stance to protect the raids, because here's all of CLG. Looking for here, there's the taunt from Shen over the hill, and the charm coming from Ari, and Froggen is able to die here really quickly, does go down quite quick. The flash being forced from Wicked, and Ignite on Do, and Malnu going to be getting away with that first kill. First blood to the jungler.
And that is absolutely devastating on a jungler like Nautilus, who wants to be really aggressive early on. If you pick up an early kill, Nautilus, he can kind of fall behind if he gets off to a poor start, but he's going to be perfectly fine. He's going to be extremely aggressive. We'll see whether or not that turns into a fast gold pretend for him. Since he's a support jungler, there is the regrowth pendant, so it is going to be a fast Philosopher's Stone. And with that, he's just going to be at such a huge advantage early on. It's going to allow super aggressive play from Absolute Legends. And going down like that, one thing that CLG had and that they were trying to accomplish, we have the Taric stun, and we have a lot of AoE damage, and that's what their thought was. If we can get Absolute Legends to group up on us, we have Snoopé on Nocturne. Nocturne has a lot of AoE damage. A lot of people underestimate it. Corki early on, he's really strong as well, but there's just so much burst for Absolute Legends that, I don't know, I'm a little bit surprised that they, came in to try and fight that. And so we see Absolute Legends, not only do we have the assist on everyone down the board, but we will see that Golem pick up for the bot lane. So they're going to have an early advantage, which is going to be really nice against the Corki Taric. Since it's such an aggressive lane, we can see some nice range harass from Ashe. And they will be very safe in that bottom lane. Yeah,
also notice that a lot of the CC on CLG right now is very single target. Fear, stun. Right now, Absolute Legends, that you saw in that fight, Shen just taunting over the wall, managed to get 2 members of CLG. The arrow, if close enough, can also get some slows, and also slows on Ashe just naturally. And Nautilus getting the ult on someone, if timed well and positioned well, can actually do quite a bit more CC than intended as well. So, but CLG definitely has the damage potential. Corki got a lot of burst in there. Aurelia can be a pretty bursty monster as well, but the first blood on Nautilus, it's going to do very well, and after the red, may get a little... Man, actually, right now, Yellow Beat
actually probably could have taken that kill. They had the heal onto Yellow Beat, and so didn't want to have to use any flashes or anything, and then have the heal baited out.
But look at Galio right now, actually going for the Wolves on his own. Why is Froggen not in lane?
Well, the big thing is the lane's pushing on him a little bit. Frog and Galio early on, we do see those Snoopé coming up here. He has the double buff. We'll see whether or not he engages. The big thing is if Young Buck tries to taunt, which is a lot of times how you're going to exchange damage as Shen. If he throws off the taunt, then he's going to be baited out. He won't have the escape. Galio mid, he is really safe, but he needed the lane to push back to him. So he needed to wait a little bit, waste some time. And also, early on, even though Galio is really safe, he needs his first buy. We do have the engage there. There's the stun, the exhaust as well, chasing after him. He will be able to get out of there with the taunt and the flash. But the pull onto Froggen, we will get the charm as well. Froggen going down very quickly. We have the ignite. One more attack, is able to grab it.
Just barely getting the kill there in mid. Absolute Legends is doing very nice work. And top, Young Buck is very slippery. The taunt, followed by the flash, can clear a lot of ground to break the fear from Nocturne. So Young Buck's going to be a little bit safer for now. The lane is pushed to his tower. So And, most of those minions are not taking hits too, so he could have the opportunity to freeze the lane here.
And that's what Froggen was trying to avoid in that mid lane. And he knows, all right, Galio, I'm up close range. That puts me vulnerable to Nautilus. If Nautilus can get up close enough, get the pull, that's going to be huge. We have the stun, though, going on to Slepper. Yellow Pete coming down, but we actually have the teleport in from Galio as well. Yellow Pete chasing after Slepper. We have the heal. He will be chasing. Zinnek is way out of position, though. Gets the flash off, but the mist slow. So Froggen will have to back off empty-handed. And the big thing is Galio, before his first buy, he runs out of mana quickly. Early in the game, he, maybe doesn't have quite as much tanking as, clearly he's not going to have as much tanking as he's going to have later in the game.
Right.
But he's kind of vulnerable in the first couple of levels. And because we have the charm from Ahri, and we have the true damage from Ahri as well on the orb, you can actually get a lot of damage onto him. We do have Wicked, though, walking into Malinu. And we do have the stare. There's the taunt, actually, from Young Buck as well. We will be able to get the pullback. He's just taking a lot of damage really quickly with that Ignite. Will go down. So a huge 3-0 early advantage for Absolute Legends.
And just a little bit of an unfortunate misstep. Wicked had no idea the Nautilus was there. That's why he put the ward down. He was like, oh, I wonder where Nautilus is. Oh, damn, right there. But also notice Froggen in mid. When Froggen returned to the mid just now, level 3 to level 5, a little gap's closing a little bit, but that's just that speaks to how much of an advantage Extinct has in mid right now. 43-25 good creeps, 2 Dorns on Ahri as well. It's looking really bad for Galio right now, and even then, the wasted teleport, that's not going to be down. That goes down for about 5 minutes, and even then, when you see Galio teleport, it's usually to do the flash ult combo to save a teammate or try and get the final last hits on a teammate on an enemy. It's a little bit of a waste, and Froggen will hit 6, not going to be available to him, and that could be the advantage needed for CLG to come back in this, and it won't be available to him.
And Malinu, he's actually really close. He won't quite have enough for it, but he'll have 1 gold per 10, almost getting the double gold per 10 early on, which would just be absolutely huge. Maybe he'll kind of sit in base for it. He is, just 25 behind, so he could sit in base if he really wanted to. He'll probably get out, though.
Yeah.
And so just such a huge early advantage. He does buy a couple of wards. And so 3-0, and Absolute Legends is in complete control of this game, and their mid-game is so strong compared with CLG. CLG has a really nice teamfight team, but because of the great initiation and mobility that Absolute Legends have, when you consider Ahri and you consider the movement speed passive from Janna, they're going to be looking to have aggressive engages all over the map, and with the early advantage, they can be twice as aggressive.
And there's the Kage's pick onto Ahri. So DFG will come into play much later on into the game. For now, though, buy it early, start on a GP10, get a little bit more income. And who was it? We saw 3 GP10s on in the mid. Was that?
We saw it on Kog'Maw.
Yeah.
I've seen it on Karthus as well. Not in this qualifier, but we have seen it on Kog'Maw.
Right. So starting to see that a little bit more. But yeah, the pick, at the very least, it does make for a good choice. Build into DFG later. Much more damage output as you start hitting the mid and the late game as well. Top lane not doing so bad either. Heart of Gold and extra Ruby Crystal. Shen's going to be a little bit more tanky in the top lane. And Aurelia trying to do a little bit more damage with the Dorn's Blade. May pick up another one on the next trip back, but just now Galio ended up grabbing the Chalice of Harmony. It was a little bit late on that.
And the nice thing about the Kage's pick on a champion like Ahri is not only is Deathfire Grasp going to be such a strong item, but Ahri, a lot of times you leave lane, you have the pushing capability where you can push up your lane and then leave and not miss out on so much CS, but you will naturally fall behind on CS. And so if your ganks aren't successful, you could fall behind on gold. That's not as much of an issue when you run that gold per 10. Deathfire's Grasp is clearly going to be a really strong choice as the game progresses. And so, just really strong advantage all around for Absolute Legends right now.
That should also be a signal to CLG as well. It's like, okay, Ahri, she's got the GP10, looking to roam. Everyone just be a little bit on guard, possibly put some more wards down. You see Crepo putting a ward in the bush, and also Ahri's already started to begin on it, wandering up to top lane, but there was a ward over by the Wraiths from CLG, their own Wraiths, and so you saw Ahri leave.
And we see Shen with a nice CS advantage over Wicked in this top lane, has the level advantage as well. Wicked's going to pick up a lot of this CS as it pushes in, but that has to do partially with how aggressive Shen can be early on and how the advantage he has against Aurelia, but then also because of how much Wicked needs to be defensive, because he knows that Absolute Legends is going to try and get ganking opportunities. They're going to try and pick up kills. Aurelia has a difficult time getting away from Nautilus, and so Nautilus staying away from that top lane. And that's one thing we were talking about, is the fact that Snoopy has been focusing down that top lane so much this game, wants to stay up there so that we can't get the ganks onto Wicked because of Absolute Legends, how they like ganking the top lane. And as a result, Malinu just completely ignoring it this game. He's perfectly fine sitting back and then not having to worry about, missing experience or whatnot. And he's been able to put a lot of pressure on mid. And then once we see 6, which, like we do now on Ashe, we can see that aggression bottom as well.
Yep, well, Malinu, very good spot right now, has been a contributing factor in all 3 kills in the game so far. So now it's a little bit of a point. It's like, okay, now let's go on a little lunch break. Let's farm up. Let's start getting all the items I need. Wait till I hit 6. Now he is. So now, but here's the thing is, though, that all 3 lanes right now are pretty much in a winning position for Absolute Legends. So there's really no pressing need for Malinu to go out and gank. Might as well just sit back and farm, because it's a little bit rough to get a gank on a pushed tower. Not impossible for Nautilus, though. You do have the depth charge. It could be pretty easy for some of these lanes as opposed to others, but might as well just sit back, continue to farm, and also start focusing on objectives like Dragon.
Yeah, and there you see Froggen just continuing to farm up. He is a pretty safe farmer, Galio is, but then he also has the advantage where you can kind of push the lane, go and steal wraiths and whatnot. We do have an early advantage for RA because of the nice play, because of the kill. And so, it is generally going to be even as the game progresses. We have really nice AoE, once again, for CLG. Malinu, with the early oracles, like you said, trying to, run around here, clear up. There's the pink ward, getting it off the dragon, and this is going to allow some nice aggression to just continue up that pressure.
Malinu now wandering up. There is actually a ward in that bush, I hope you see it. Yep, should be able to grab that there, too. And the early oracles can do so much, because there's been quite a bit of ward coverage from CLG, knowing that Ahri is very mobile and the possibilities for ganks are very real. With the ult from Ahri, she can clear a lot of distance really quickly, but with the ward coverage shut down, it actually allows easier ganks, not only for Nautilus but for Ahri as well, and for opportunities like Dragon right now, which Absolute Legends is securing pretty quickly. There's not a whole lot CLG can do about it, because they have no vision, and saw it happened earlier on with that level 1 fight. They know that there's a little bit too much CC and to really be dealt with right now in the moment.
Yeah, and CLG has to be a little bit on the defensive. They will sit back. As long as they farm to late game, that's kind of their thought right now. And they have a really strong teamfight team once they all kind of group up, but they really need to get that early farm. We see Yellow Peak going to be going with the Triforce build maybe. So getting the Sheen gives them a little bit more burst damage, and you lose a little bit of that sustained damage, which would be nice, but they know, all right, if we can pick someone off like Ahri or something, or Ashe, then if I can just burst them down real quick, that's going to be really strong for lane control, having that burst. So if we get the stun, just chunk Ashe real quick. They
also know that once Froggen starts getting into these team fights with the Galio ult, put out as much burst as you can, because once that Galio ult ends, there is the possibility that CLG can be completely routed. And like I've said before, Nocturne coming on in, that's going to be single target CC, so burst to try and kill a champion outright. These fights are not going to be... CLG's not looking for very long extended fights here. They just want to go get in, get out, and try and escape with their lives, and hopefully get a kill in the process.
Yeah, so we do have good ward coverage from CLG right now. Malinu trying to get in the top lane. I'm surprised he didn't move up and try and clear the ward. He, kind of sat back, saw that Aurelia wasn't there, but it's still a good opportunity to clear the ward, and then that would allow him to go in for a gank a little bit later. We will see Froggen able to pick up this blue, so that'll be really nice for that mid lane control. And with the pushing potential that CLG has, they can always stall the game off as it progresses. It will be difficult for Absolute Legends to take down some turrets, though Ashe does have really nice range, and with their CC, they, as the game progresses, they could maybe stall outside of a turret. But when you have to consider the clearing waves and then also the initiation from Galio, that's probably a bit of a concern. But Aurelia picking up the farm against Shen, so keeping the lane nice and even, we'll be able to catch up there and do a nice job farming.
Wicked was pushing top tower pretty pretty aggressively, but Nautilus making his way up. Ward spotted. Nautilus is going to take out the ward and now move on back. But also look at the ward coverage from CLG defensively by their own wraiths, expecting invades, expecting engagements on the wraiths. Possibly Ahri coming around just to orb and steal them real quick from Nocturne. But
and the big thing is, you know, it gives you the nice coverage coming in here, but it's less Wraith-centric. So a lot of times you'll see it coming in here. They know that Malinu has that Oracle, so they don't want him to be able to grab it, so he's going to have to walk way out of position to get it. We do see, though, both Ahri and Nautilus coming up in this top lane. He will be fine there. And so they need the vision in order to watch Ahri. And Ahri, you know, could either come from the river or could come up right through their jungle, and we will see them kind of camping on Aurelia top here.
Yeah, it would not be too uncommon. Ahri just swoops in, grabs a Wraith, and then goes around, not through the river, but actually around through the jungle to try and get ganks from behind on the CLG in the top lane. So that's a little bit of explanation for that ward coverage, and actually now seeing it.
The ward died.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Now, you could have been a little bit, could have gotten a quarter in your pocket for that one. But for now, though, Slepper and Znig will still be here farming bot lane. What's it, 139 to 129? Slight lead.
It all started with the early, you know, advantages going onto Ashe, starting with that first kill, that, you know, the team assist, and then going down, taking those golems a couple of times. So the level advantage allows them to be pretty safe in this lane. They have the range from Ashe, so if Corki's trying to be aggressive, Ashe can just throw off the volley and then, you know, attack as Corki's trying to walk back to his own tower. So right now they're kind of pushing into the tower, so they can deny some experience from Yellow Pete, get another farm advantage there, just, you know, kill these minion waves. I'm wondering
what's going through Snoop A's mind right now, because it's all three lanes from Absolute Legends are looking to push whenever possible, and there's plenty of options for Snoop A to gank, but I think he knows that wherever he goes, he's not going to be all too successful, because Ashe Arrow is up, Ahri extremely mobile, Shen also extremely mobile. There's actually, we got Extinct coming in from behind the charm, actually going down onto Taric, but Galio has to teleport in to the tower, but Ahri's still a little bit there in the mix, but Shen does come in with the shield onto the Ahri, so all 5 members of Absolute Legends are now here, and Youngbuck does actually get the kill onto Snoop A. Froggen getting CC quite well, but taunts everyone under tower. It's not going to be doing quite a whole lot, and Yellow Pete also trying to stay there, trying to defend the point, but it will be for nothing. Triple kill onto Ashe, incredible.
Yeah, and the big thing was that entire fight, we saw them, it was a split fight. We saw Ahri almost going down, but had the Shen teleport in and was able to kind of zone them off here. Wants to play defensively, just slowly poke them down until they can force them all back, get some damage, gets the pick off. They're able to just slowly push them, keep them underneath this tower, not allow CLG to group up in any one particular direction. We had the ultimate, but the quick cancel there and the nice damage. They do pick up that kill.
And Wicked still top.
Yeah, so we'll be able to get some damage on this tower. In the meantime, though, we do see Absolute Legends grabbing the second tower as well, and so they will.
Wicked didn't get the top tower? Oh, there we go. There we go. I was for a second there. I thought it was like you're back. Yeah, I didn't realize the minions were going to go ahead and grab that. But yeah, a tier 1 and a tier 2 for a tier 1 plus 4 kills. Absolute Legends just extending their lead. It's going to be rough now for CLG to try and come back from this, because they know that they don't quite have the damage output, and the fact that Absolute Legends can go ahead and dive them so aggressively. They know they're in a bad spot. And also the Galio, whoa, actually Ahri going in once again very aggressively onto Taric, gets caught out a little bit too far, and the dashes and the damage from that will be enough. Nocturne does have to try and get back, but the charm and the orb will finish him off. Now Extinct is a little bit worn out. Cooldowns and mana getting very low as well, but Malnu is there with the anchor to get the grab onto Aurelia, and once again 4 quick kills for Absolute Legends. Quite incredible, and now the push can just go ahead and continue here on in the mid.
Yeah, Absolute Legends absolutely turning on the man mode right now. They are really angry after that first game.
Yep.
And so, you know, just to be able to show off this aggression, and now, you know, with the pickoff team that they have and how much of a gold advantage they have, there's not really a whole lot of hope for CLG in these fights. So CLG needs to hold off. They do have good, you know, wave clearing capabilities, so they can stall for a while. But Absolute Legends, Nautilus is going to be very tanky as the game progresses. Shen is already extremely tanky. And you have to consider that we have the Shen ult and we have all the CC. It's going to be able to protect both Ashe and Ahri. So
yep.
Slepper and Extinct are going to be able to sit in the background, and they're just dealing so much damage right now. We have the Zeal onto Ashe, so, you know, really far ahead in damage, as opposed to just the Sheen. So Sheen versus Infinity Edge for those AD carries, it's just such a huge advantage for Absolute Legends right now, and they're just going to continue pressuring it.
So for CLG really to try and come back from this, We have to acknowledge Ari and Ash are the two big damage dealers here on Absolute Legends. Have to try and focus both of them out and burst them down enough to take one of them out of the fight and then the other. A godlike Galio ult, flash ult onto both Ari and Ash may very well do it, but there's that's the problem. Ash is going to be on the back line, can also counter-initiate with the arrow. Janet is going to be protecting them both and can disengage with the Monsoon. It's going to be rough. It's going to be really rough. May just want to have Wicked actually stay top lane or bot lane and just free farm for the time being, because for the
oh, there's a pinch.
Oh,
Wicked
right
is very
now.
close to going down. Will go down pretty quickly. There's the arrow actually onto Froggen, and so the taunt barely keeps Wicked alive. Froggen does go down though, so they get the pick off.
Okay, you know what? Never mind what I said, because that taunt was not able enough. The damage output from Absolute Legends is just way too high at this point. Even if Galio does get the ult, there's a very real possibility that next time they do this, it could actually die before the taunt ends.
And the issue is not just is Absolute Legends stronger in these fights, but even if Wicked tries to split push, and a lot of times split push you can, kind of stall the game out a little bit by keeping the lanes pushed. Shen's right up there, and so Shen is a lot stronger than Aurelia is right now. He would be able to zone her out. We have Snoopy jumping in here. This is an all-or-nothing fight, but Snoopy goes down. I think CLG.EU... Oh, well, there's the surrender. I'm like fighting the camera for the surrender. I'm like, what is going on? But CLG.EU, they recognize that they are going down in this game. We do have the victory for Absolute Legends. So Absolute Legends turning it around on them in game number 2, able to quickly pick up that win and just absolutely dominant play. It all started with that first blood, though, and the first blood allowed the early aggression.
Yep.
We saw the gank mid with the charm on Ari, and then the Nautilus taunt. Galio a little bit vulnerable early on, so just really awesome play all around.
CLG stuck with most of their bans for game number 2 and decided to let Ari slide because they were scared that Absolute Legends would get the first pick Urgot. And with that, Ari was able to be grabbed on Absolute Legends, not to mention Ash is really, one of the characters that they shine with in bot lane, and they're more than content to farm. They're more than content to farm bot lane with Ash. And once the fight started breaking out, you see the massive amounts of damage output Ash can provide, plus the arrow for the initiations or counter initiations. Janna didn't even really. She was just there just in case,
right?
Just in case something went wrong.
Just absolutely, dominating that game. Quite frankly. You do see a lot of aggression with Corki and Tarek trying to pick up kills, but unfortunately they weren't able to ever get it off. Ash, as long as you can farm, has the range, has the CC, is just a strong all-around champion. And so we will see coming into game number 3, though, Absolute Legends EU versus CLG.EU. It is an even 1-1 series. This is the IPL5 Qualifier Finals. $1,000 and an invite to IPL5 is on the line here, so we will be seeing how they kind of negotiate game number 3. We'll be back in a second.